غسلها بالماء والثلج والبرد نقها من الذنوب والخطايا كما ينقى الثوب الأبيض من الدنس اللهم أبدلها دارا خيرا من دارها وزوجا خيرا من زوجها وأهلا خيرا من أهلها اللهم أدخلها الجنة وأخذها من عذاب النار اللهم صل على محمد وسلم. Alhamdulillah that we have great hope for her that she passed away in the month of Ramadan. And when we try to remember her name and her face, the only memory we have of her is that she was part of the Quran class. Every single letter or word or surah that she recited in this masjid may it be hujjah for her on the Day of Judgment. Say Ameen. Between yesterday and today, we recited certain surahs. Surah 14, Surah Ibrahim, Surah 15, Hijr, Surah 16, Surah Nahl. These three surahs have something in common. And what I would like to really draw your attention to today is one particular verse. It is very amazing if you listen to the recitation. In Surah Al-Ibrahim, you hear the same verse, the exact same verse, except the end, which has a small different ending. And you hear the exact same verse in Surah Al-Nahl. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, وَآتَاكُم مِّن كُلِّ مَا سَأَلْتُمُ وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. First, He says, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَظَلُومٌ كَفَّارٌ. The second verse, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says in Surah Al-Nahl, وَآتَاكُم مِّن كُلِّ مَا سَأَلْتُمُ وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَغَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Subhanallah. What is the difference between these two verses? In Surah Ibrahim, Surah 14, before Allah Azza wa Jalla mentions this verse, وَآتَاكُم مِّن كُلِّ مَا سَأَلْتُمُ, He begins by reminding mankind all the blessings that He had bestowed upon us, or at least some of them. The blessing of the rain, the sky, the sun, the moon, the stars, all these blessings that we have, the ocean, the sea. And then Allah says, وَآتَاكُم مِّن كُلِّ مَا سَأَلْتُمُ, that Allah has given to you everything that you could have asked for. Like, think about these words. Everything that you could have imagined to ask for, anything that you would have needed in your life, Allah has given it to you. Think about the way the human being is made from head to toe. Of course, we would need eyes to look. We would need ears to hear, a mouth to talk, teeth to chew, hands to grab, feet to walk, everything that we need. Go inside the belly, think about the autonomy of human beings. Everything that Allah Azza wa Jalla has put together, all the way down to your kidneys, to the liver, the veins that you have. There is not one part of your body that you do not need. And all these, they have a specific role to play. All of them. Some of them, when the food comes down, they process the food, turn it into blood, take it to the bloodstream, take it to the veins. Every single part of your body has a job to do. Everything. Nothing is in vain. Nothing is ex nihilo. So Allah says, وَآتَاكُم مِّن كُلِّ مَا سَأَلْتُمُ, I have given you everything you could have asked for. وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. Then He says, إِنَّ if you were to count out, if you were to enumerate one by one all the blessings that Allah has bestowed upon you, you would never be able to count them out. You cannot count them. If you were to stand here and somebody asks you, just tell me, here is $1 million. Tell me all the blessings Allah has given to you. You may say the eyes, the ears, everything. You will name it all, but there will be millions that you forget about, that you may not even know about, that Allah has given to you. But at the end of this ayah in Surah Ibrahim, he says, Innal insana la zalumun kaffar. Indeed, mankind is ungrateful and is a wrongdoer. After all this I have given mankind, he turns out to be a wrongdoer. Allahu Akbar. He turns out to be ungrateful. He doesn't thank Allah. Qalilan ma tashkurun. Very little of them are grateful, are thankful to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Deux versets qu'on est en train de discuter ce soir. Un, on trouve dans la sourate Ibrahim, alayhi salam, sourate 14, dans le Coran. Allah Azza wa Jalla, il rappelle aux gens, à l'humanité, que je vous ai donné tout ce dont vous avez besoin. Tout ce dont vous avez besoin, je vous ai donné ça. Et si vous vouliez compter tout ce que je vous ai donné, vous ne parviendrez pas à le faire. Impossible. Vous ne pouvez pas dire que Allah m'a donné ceci, 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 ceci. Vous allez oublier certaines choses que Allah vous a données. وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. This is in Surah Ibrahim. Donc, ce que Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala est en train de nous dire est que je vous ai tellement donné de faveurs, vous avez tellement de faveurs de ma part, qu'il y a des faveurs que vous oubliez. Donc, si vous vouliez les compter, c'est impossible. Mais à la fin, en conclusion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala nous dit que l'homme, l'être humain, est ingrat envers son Seigneur. Ingrat. Tout ce que Allah a fait pour toi, en conclusion, au lieu d'être reconnaissant envers Allah, l'être humain, l'homme, la femme, il commence à désobéir à Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Au lieu d'être reconnaissant, il désobéissent à Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mais what is amazing, ce qui est étonnant, c'est que ce même verset qu'on trouve dans Surah Ibrahim, on trouve ça dans Surah Nahl. The same verse, exact same wording, except at the end, we find it in Surah Nahl. And what does Allah Azza wa Jalla say here? He said, وَآتَاكُمْ مِنْ كُلِّ مَا سَأَلْتُمُ وَإِنْ تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَغَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Subhanallah. We have to understand the difference between the two. Allah Azza wa Jalla says in Surah Nahl, repeating the same wording, Allah Azza wa Jalla has given you all the blessings that you could have asked for. Everything that you can imagine that you would need to live in this world, Allah has given it to you. But then he closes after saying, if you were to count all these blessings, you would not be able to count them out. You cannot count all the blessings that Allah has given to you. So at the end he says, Inna Allaha laghafurur rahim. Allah realizing, knowing that mankind will never be grateful enough for all the blessings that He has given us, Allah says, indeed Allah is oft forgiving and most merciful. Subhanallah. He knows that you are going to be ungrateful. He gave us all these blessings, but we are going to be ungrateful. He gave us all these blessings, but we are going to do wrong. And the ulama said, the meaning here of mankind will do wrong, that means mankind will do wrong with the blessings that Allah has given to him. Subhanallah. Imagine Allah has given somebody wealth. Allah chooses you to give you wealth, a lot of money. And instead of spending that money on the path of Allah, you use that money to do haram. You spend that money in the haram way, in the haram path. And Allah gave you that money as a blessing. And that is why wealth is what? It is a fitna. It is a test. Innama amwalukum wa awladukum fitna. When Allah gives you money, He's testing you to see what you are going to do with it. That is why Allah Azza wa Jalla, He chooses some people not to make them rich. He chooses some people not to give them wealth because He knows it's not good for them. Had He given them wealth, they would have used it in a haram way. So Allah deprived them of wealth. Some people, Allah Azza wa Jalla gave them wealth because He knows that if they have wealth, they will distribute it. They will use it in a halal way. They will help the people. Subhanallah, astaghfirullah. They will use it in the wrong way. So that is the reason why Allah deprived them of wealth. Some people He gives them wealth because He knows it's good for them. Some people He does not give them wealth because He knows it's not good for them. So the reason why Allah says, وَآتَاكُم مِّن كُلِّ مَا سَأَلْتُمُوا وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا, that indeed you cannot count all the blessings. And some of us, mankind, we use that blessing, whether it is wealth or health or strength, our youth, whatever it is. Even the eyes that Allah has given you. Some people can use the eyes to do wrong. The hands that Allah has given you. The feet, everything. Your skin, that is why on the day of judgment, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says that on that day, the mouth will be closed. The hands will testify. The feet will testify of what they used to do. Because it was a blessing, it was a ni'mah. Allah will call you and remind you of all the blessings that He has bestowed upon you, and He will ask you, what have you done with them? What have you done? So indeed, He says in this ayah that some people have those blessings, but they use it the wrong way. Imagine using the blessing that Allah has given to you. Allah gave you these blessings so that you can worship Him. Ce que je disais en quelques mots, c'est que dans ce verset, dans la sourate Ibrahim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala nous dit que je vous ai comblé de faveurs. Je vous ai tellement donné de faveurs, mais il y en a parmi vous qui utilisent ces faveurs pour désobéir à Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Au lieu d'utiliser ces faveurs à faire du bien sur le chemin d'Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ils utilisent ces faveurs pour désobéir à Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Mais dans l'autre verset, in Surah An-Nahl, Surah 16, Allah Azza wa Jalla says the same thing. Il répète la même chose dans deux sourates différentes. Mais ici, après avoir dit que l'homme est ingrat et il fait toujours de mauvaises actions, mais Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says here in Surah An-Nahl that indeed Allah Azza wa Jalla vous a comblé de bienfaits, et si vous vouliez compter ces bienfaits, vous ne pourrez jamais le faire. Mais à la fin, Allah Azza wa Jalla dit que indeed, en fait, Allah, il est le très miséricordieux et c'est lui qui pardonne les péchés. Donc, il sait que vous allez faire des péchés, vous allez commettre des péchés. Vous serez ingrat envers lui, vous allez faire du mal, mais at the end of the day, en fin de compte, Allah Azza wa Jalla nous dit, Inna Allah la ghafurur rahim. But the greatest, I will close with this, the greatest ni'mah, we think about the eyes, the hearing, the feet, everything, all the parts of the body, but the greatest blessing that Allah mentioned in this chapter it is the blessing of hidayah, guidance. That is why he repeats throughout these verses, مَنْ يَهْدِهِ اللَّهُ فَلَا مُضِلَّ لَهُ وَمَنْ يُضْلِلْ فَلَا هَادِيَ لَهُ. Whomsoever Allah guides, quiconque Allah Azza wa Jalla mène vers le droit chemin, personne ne peut le sortir de ce chemin-là. Mais si la personne choisit de quitter le bon chemin, personne ne peut l'aider si ce n'est Allah Azza wa Jalla. If anybody is guided, it is by the help of Allah. But if anybody chooses to go astray, nobody can bring them back on the path except Allah Azza wa Jalla. So whenever you think about these two verses, وَآتَاكُم مِّن كُلِّ مَا سَأَلْتُمُ وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. Allah has given you all the blessings, all the favors, tous les bienfaits. When you think about it, quand vous pensez à cela, n'oubliez pas que the greatest blessing, le faveur qui est le plus grand, c'est la droiture. Être sur le chemin d'Allah Azza wa Jalla. We être guidé. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to keep us on Siratul Mustaqim. That is why we always say, رَبَّنَا لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَيْتَنَا. Oh Allah, please do not misguide us after having guided us on the right path. Thank you so much. We also want to thank our brothers and sisters who offered a wonderful iftar today. Our brothers from Somalia, Kenya, Cameroon, brothers from Burundi, and our sisters. Tonight we had a wonderful iftar. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to reward them. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to put this in their Mizan al Hasanat. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to use this as a shield against Jahannam for them, and to use this as a means for them to enter the highest rank in Jannah. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله ولكم. قوموا إلى الصلاة يرحمني ويرحمكم الله.